The keyword needs to at least be in 5 strategic places. Instead of purchasing 5,000 backlinks for $500, work really hard in the traditional PR method to reach out to highly relevant sources and share valuable content back and forth. I don't treat SEO as another marketing channel. I treat it as the heart of all of your marketing strategy. SEO isn't dead. Following a proper SEO strategy will have you ranking for AI.
Hello all, and welcome to another episode of JSITM Marketing, a podcast where we analyze a brand, a logo, an advert, or a campaign, but most of all things marketing. And in this season, if you have been following us for the other two, there's a tad bit of difference. We are going to bring a guest on each episode, a guest who's an expert in his or her field, someone who's passionate about marketing. So for today, we would like to thank Mr. Derek Kent, who is the SEO Director for iNet Media. So welcome, Derek. Thank you so much for coming and joining our episode. And if you could just start the episode with your journey into SEO and how has iNet Media shaped your SEO journey?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I would have to say my SEO journey starts with just standard marketing. I graduated with my business administration diploma, and then following with my marketing degree in 2008, and then immediately started working in the marketing and advertising industry for 5 years, moving into the corporate marketing side of home building, and then moving in from there to my own copywriting business that started focusing quite quickly on SEO as I noticed clients started asking for it. And from there, just really figuring out what works.
I think having your business before and then navigating, kind of starting small with small clients, building your portfolio, that probably helped you a lot. Now they have a team under you to manage the projects, to manage the team and the client expectations as well, because you've done that before by yourself. So you had to learn, and now you can kind of help and guide your team.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I watched I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was a YouTube video, and there was just one about getting started in your own business. And there was just one quote that stuck with me forever that I'd like to share with everyone. I won't swear like he did, but it was like, eat that dog poop and smile for more. Because when you start new in your industry, you have no experience. No one cares about your education or your previous work experience when you're out on your own. And so you want to charge money and you want the good clients, but you're just not going to get that right away. And you'll sit with nothing for so long. I was very much the same way. I didn't mention that, but I did charge because I'm like, I got a degree and all this experience and work. And in the freelancing world, I mean, nobody cares. So I ended up doing research on how to get started. And that was the advice that really stuck with me, was, eat that dog poop and smile for more. And I just I did exactly that. I became free and I just got all of that bottom of the barrel work and built up that portfolio extremely quickly. You'll get a lot of work for free. A lot of experience. Like, experience is a better word.
And it's interesting because obviously the expectation from the client when you charge them $1 for a marketing audit or a website review, they expect that professionally, but both on your side as well, you have the confidence that you are undercharging them because you're also learning. You're also building that.
Even being honest with that, saying I'm charging very low because I'm new at this, but then showing them that you're not giving them the effort of free, just like sending a well-formatted document. Pretend this client is paying you $1,000 an hour, like a ridiculous amount. Give them that top shelf service as best as you can.
Treat them as a client.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, they are your client. It doesn't matter how much you're paying. You have to deliver professionally as you would be charging $1,000. Derek, you mentioned about you're going to talk about the challenge and the benefits of SEO. But before we jump into that, you've been on the industry for 16 years, right? Can you see the difference in obviously now we have AI and all of those things that I want to ask you some questions about that later, but can you see an evolution? Can you see a change in the client knowledge and expectations about SEO now, where probably 16 years ago it was a little bit less. They didn't know what SEO was, and now pretty much every small business, they have a little bit of understanding what SEO is and how important it is for the business. And the evolution of the service itself. Can you see that in the last 16 years?
Oh, absolutely. And so I actually have some points to talk about the AI search functions and all the different acronyms that come with it. But with clients and their understanding of SEO, absolutely. So the one thing though is often the clients, if they're a marketing manager, they're wearing a lot of hats managing the marketing for a large corporation or SME. And if they're a business owner for a small business, they're also wearing even more hats to run a business. And so often their SEO knowledge, while it's decent, it's usually quite dated, and SEO is evolving quite rapidly. So, they'll ask about purchasing large amounts of backlinks, which is a little bit of a dated strategy. I won't go too into the exact strategies, but like heavy keyword density and things like that. They'll mention these things, and I'll tell them it's good that you have this understanding of it, but here's how some of the things have changed. So as SEO changes and clients' knowledge in it changes, having a process to build will also help you stay up to date with SEO. So a good example of this is in my local SEO section of my own process. When Google My Business updated to Google Business Profile, I made a note of that change in my process. So when clients say, why do you call it Google Business Profile? I'm like, actually, it rebranded in November 2021. I can't, I think that's the right date. I don't have my process in front of me, or else I'd be very confident in the correct date. And even saving like a link where Google sent a message about the notification. Other changes, such as they had a business.site function where you could turn your Google My Business, formerly Google My Business page, into a website that was quite clunky, and they got rid of it. And then clients will ask, where is this instant website function? And I can look at my process and say it was actually discontinued on this date. Google had a mini site audit function that they sunsetted and discontinued. So that's another thing. Your process will help you stay up to date with SEO changes and be quite quick and accurate when clients ask you, why are you calling it this? Or why are you referencing this? And then you can have that in your section of metadata writing, keyword research, local SEO, citation building, auditing, on-page optimization. That's actually another one I get quite often is, how do you optimize a page? How do you optimize a blog post? What's different? I go right to my process. I often share my screen with the client. And if they say, can you send me that? I tell them no.
Yes.
It's my intellectual property that I've built for the past like 5, 6 years. But I will share my screen and show them, like, this is exactly the steps we take to optimize your blog post. This is exactly the steps we take to optimize a page. And that's to not go on and on about it. That's how I stay up to date and very not flexible, but able to react to clients' questions about how SEO has changed. So I can't stress having a process enough.
That's new. I think SEO is something new for me, and it's an interesting field. So, Derek, I always had a question: how does keyword play a role in SEO, and how do you choose those keywords effectively, like, and to use them at your fullest? How do you know that these are the right keywords for SEO?
So I'll break that into two parts: how to use the keyword and how to choose it.
Huh.
So how to use the keyword, it used to be, when the clients will often say this, 10 years ago, X amount of keyword density per X amount of words, like 12 keywords per 1,000 words on a page. But now Google prioritizes more traffic and engagement on that page as compared to like similar competitors. And so the keyword needs to at least be in 5 strategic places: the URL, the H1 header, the hero alt tag, the intro paragraph, and then anywhere it appears naturally on the page. And also, sorry, 6 places, the metadata, which you could even say 7, the meta title and the meta description. And so those would be the core places to keep it high on the page so the algorithm can have something to grab onto and understand. And then from there, it's going to be looking for things like LSIs, latent semantic indexing, words that are related to it. So if you're talking about iPhone, it's going to be looking for words such as operating system, technology, device, words that relate to it. So you're not just pounding in a bunch of keywords to trick the algorithm, because Google's a product as well. It wants to serve search results to its searching users that are good and relevant. So that's also why it goes off of traffic and engagement as relative to the competitors in that industry. It's kind of like
Um,
walking into a room looking for a plumber, and you have one plumber and no one's around his table, and you have another and everyone's around him because he
Uh,
gives good advice and has good experience, and the other guy maybe doesn't. That's a very black and white
oh,
description. But
yeah, that's a
yes.
Google,
good way of putting out there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Derek,
nice.
am I right to think that keyword doesn't matter that much anymore? What matters is the context in general, everything, all those things together.
so the keyword matters in those strategic places at the top of the page. So the
Yeah.
algorithm has something to grab onto, but then anywhere you can use it naturally within the page, and don't poison your writer's mind with a solid keyword. They can use different variations of it. So if it's new homes in London, they can use different variations of that style of keyword to make it flow naturally throughout the page, right for humans, not for an algorithm.
Yeah.
Then it goes into the traffic and engagement, and people will be, your audience will be telling Google what they want to read. So no one wants to read. I remember a company that did land bids, and they had SEO their page, and it's like, our land bids are the best land bids. When you're looking for land bids, contact us for land bids. Like, nobody wants to read
Talk
that.
to a land bin expert.
Talk to a land bid expert for land bids when you need a land bid near you. Did I mention land bids?
Yeah.
And so that's too much keyword density. But you're right, that is how it was back in the day. And also you could pay to a bunch of PBNs, personal blog networks, to point links at your site. But now Google has a disavow tool for bad backlinks. So it's better to write for people and give them helpful, useful content, because more and more SEO looks like real marketing than tips and tricks. So write for people that want to read your content, that will actually be helpful for them instead of just SEO optimized. And when you're looking at things, this is a little outside of keywords, but because I mentioned backlinks, instead of purchasing 5,000 backlinks for 500 bucks, work really hard in the traditional PR method to reach out to highly relevant sources and share valuable content back and forth. And if that takes you 8 hours to get one link back to your site, but it's highly relevant for your customers, that is 1,000 times more valuable than purchasing 1,000, 5,000 backlinks for 500 bucks. So that's on the keyword usage side. Then finding your keyword, I have two schools of thought in this. Obviously, you have SEMrush, Ahrefs, Moz, all of the tools that give you the volume and the keyword difficulty. But again, back to the mentioning of more and more SEO looks like real marketing, is think about how your customers for your client or your own business are searching for your product. Search Console can help you, but Search Console is only going to show you the keywords that are bringing people to the website that your website's currently using. So it might not have the page or the content on your website that you want to bring the customers in. So I would focus on your core keyword, which is, if you're a plumbing, it's plumbing services is going to be on your parent page, plumbing services location. So you could say plumbing services London, plumbing services Calgary, whatever it happens to be. And that's going to be a very challenging keyword to hit because it's very dense, very high keyword difficulty, but you're going to use it anyway because that's going to sit on your parent page. Then you're going to have some, and this is a pillar strategy. So that's the top of your, the base of your pillar, really. Then you'll have some sub child pages to that parent that are about the different plumbing services that you do. So drain cleaning, pipe repair, emergency services, and those will target those keywords. And often those keywords will sound a lot like what the service actually is. You don't want to have to try to trick the algorithm, because then you're again doing SEO for the sake of optimization and not actually for your customers. Then after that, you'll want to support each one of your child pages and parent pages with blog posts that you do some research on that are quite niche. So this goes back to following your process and understanding your client, like having good questions in your client to help in your process to help understand your client, because you're going to find a niche to talk about in the blogs that won't be saturated in other areas. So I'm in Calgary, Alberta, where we have about 6 to 7 months of winter. So we have freezing and pipe bursting problem that you may not have in India and England. But in England, you get a lot of rain consistently. They don't have, I'm in a basement here. You don't really have basements very much in England because of the amount of water. I mean, India as well. And so they're very different problems. So when you do your research in data, you'll find people asking for these different issues that you can answer on your site. But use the data to support what you already know and sometimes to find new things, but talk to your client. And if you can get access to their website and their leads form, do a leads analysis and look there for really niche content on where you can talk about long tail keywords. So I'm bringing it back to the how to target and find those keywords. So there's a good graph that actually SEMrush has where, let's continue with plumbing services, very high density and search volume and keyword difficulty. Then you would have something like pipe bursting services or pipe burst repair. That's a bit lower volume, a bit lower difficulty. Then you would have something very long tail and niche for your region and industry, such as, frozen pipe, emergency pipe repair, or flooded pipe issue, or something like that people are searching in your industry very often. Then after that, I would say you've got your keywords chosen and you're starting to target your content. The other plan that most, or plan process, another part in your process so you don't forget to do it, would be have a plan for measurement. Don't just set it and forget it. Measure how your blogs are doing, how your child pages are doing, how your parent page are doing, because if you recall back in the early 2000s, marketing focus groups, you would put people in a focus group and they change who they are because they're all excited to be there. You're around other people, you're in a little box. It's not very, it can be valuable data, but people have a bias and they kind of change from the excitement. Your website's analytics is your best marketing focus group because no one's watching them and they're just exploring your site, without a gun to their head, so to speak. So uh, they're quite flowy through their site, and that their behavior on your website can really show you their interest. And so, one more example here, which will be a divorce lawyer we work with. You have the keywords that you've chosen through data research, talking to the client. Then you have how you've used them in the pillar strategy of divorce services, and then the child pages, mediation services, arbitration services, etc. Then you have the supporting blog posts, and you have, 5 ways to talk to your spouse about getting divorced, property management and separation, child custody, and child support. And then when those have been live for a couple months, I look at the blog data again, and by far the child support and child custody blog is at the top. And I'm talking 5,000 engaged sessions versus the next most popular blog's 1,000, which puts it actually above its homepage, this website's homepage and service pages. So this one blog is bringing in so much relevant traffic to this website for this subject that is highly relevant to this client, that you bring that to your client and you say, we see a lot of traffic for this. And then they will often reflect, because again, more and more SEO looks like real marketing. They're like, yes, that's the number one thing all of our clients talk about. And you would say, I want to break down this blog post into pillar content on its own. I want to look at this blog post and either improve it or have sections of it that break off into more detail, because it's talking about child custody and child support. So can it break into a link to another blog that's just about custody, to another blog that's just about support? Can this blog use FAQs? Can we put a downloadable white paper? Can we put a helpful infographic on it? Can we put a short video that explains how you approach these services? Curating your current content will target your keywords better than just spamming out new content.
I really, really like the way you connect everything back to content and marketing and SEO and keywords. So it kind of works in a cycle, doesn't it?
Absolutely. In fact, I see most people treat SEO as another marketing channel with all their traditional, the radio, billboards, specialty magazines, all their digital, YouTube, PPC, display, SEO. But I don't treat SEO as another marketing channel. I treat it as the heart of all of your marketing strategy. Because whether it's your marketing or your competitors' marketing, people aren't really influenced by advertising of brands anymore. They're influenced by the need. So if you go see a billboard for Adidas sneakers, you're going to Google to search for sneakers because you know you need them, and then you're choosing the top results. So if someone else has a very aggressive Spotify or radio campaign for diamond rings, but you have a good SEO campaign, their hard-earned dollars in Spotify ads or radio ads are pushing people to search, and they're finding you at the top of SEO. So every marketing strategy brings people back to search.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think SEO comes to a fair fight. So Andre, a small marketing agency in London, if I have a strong SEO, I could be fighting to rank on Google with a massive agency as well, with a huge budget, if I do my SEO right.
Yeah, I actually have a good example of that as well, because we have a lot of new companies that are always surprised that they start playing in the realm of like the bigger companies. We have a floor finishing dealer that specializes in a few products, and because we optimize their site well and ethically, all white hat, and all good marketing strategy that's not just stuffing in content and keywords for the sake of it. It's very written for people, but they are now outranking the brand websites that they carry. And that's also very impressive to those brands when they want to become an exclusive dealer or something like that. Often these big companies, they don't have an optimized website. They don't need to. People come to them. They're very big. But when you can show, a new business owner that exclusively holds this product, hey, you are outranking the brand website, they're like, holy cow.
Yeah.
So, and then of course they'll ask you, how did you do that? And you take them through your process and you show them this is exactly how. And so again, everything brings me back to the process.
What are the challenges and what are the things that you should generally avoid when you do SEO?
So the challenges, I would definitely say it's they don't understand how their budget was used, and you don't want to charge too low, because especially if you have designers, writers, developers, and a full team, you'll run out of money and budget quite quickly. But then when you charge, high, and even if the client can afford it, they're really going to be questioning you for what you did. So because if you're doing something like on-page optimization, or let's actually use the technical example, because you were saying SEO is quite technical, and that's in the auditing aspect at the very beginning. Especially if your development team iNet's development team builds within Google's development standards and core web vitals.
Mm-hmm.
So auditing their technicals on their website is very easy for us, our SEO team. But if we get a client that's already has a built website, they don't really want to change it, it's okay enough to optimize. Again, in your process, you'll have the SEO audit that will have a technical section that will have a checklist so you don't miss anything. And that way, when you begin to miss certain technical aspects of an audit on a website, you can add that into your process and you'll never miss it again.
Yeah.
Or you can have certain sections in your process like this auditing only applies to e-commerce websites, not brochure websites. So again, you can start to be creative as well. And so that goes back to the challenge of clients saying, what have you done for me lately? You have a good process that you can follow, but then you take that process and what you've done and put it into tasks to prove what you've done. Because you can't always take them to the process because they're like, great, you got these steps, but where did you actually do it? But the process will allow you to copy and paste it out of there, put it in a task, and fill it out as you go and follow it, or delete and add things as you go. Then when your client does say, what have you done for me lately? How have you used my budget? Like, here's all of your tasks. Here's where it went to the content team. Here's where it went to design. Here's where it went to development. Here's where the SEO optimized and what they did. And I've never had a client say, I don't think you used my budget appropriately. Every single one of them says, wow, I didn't know there was so much involved with SEO. So that would be the number one challenge, is making it tangible for the clients that understand. If they understand it, even more so, because they're really going to be looking for it and know what to ask. If they don't, then you really need to prove it as well. Then I would have to say another challenge that would come up would be clients that say, oh, SEO is dead. It's all about AI searches now. I hear that, and I'm always reminded of that article, SEO is dead. It's all about AI searches now. And I'm like, someone just read the headline and not the article. Because if you read the article, I believe it's on Search Engine Journal. There's a few of them out now.
Yeah.
It actually says SEO isn't dead. Following a proper SEO strategy will have you ranking for AI. A lot of people see AI searches as a challenge, but I see it more of an opportunity, because with the rise in AI searching, many people may not realize that having a solid SEO strategy helps you rank for AI searches as well. So let's dial it back and be clear as well that about what AI really is. It's not AI. It's an LLM. It's a large language model. And an LLM is trained on data collection from online books, from websites, from forums, just like a traditional search engine. It also uses entity recognition from snippets that identify people, places, topics, just like a traditional search engine. And so an AI can't go pick up a book and read it. It needs to access everything online. And one of the biggest sources it goes to scrape is Google. And so if you are appearing at the top of Google and you're not heavily keyword dense, you've got the traffic, because again, AI is looking for traffic and engagement. It needs to be pointed at something that it knows people are going to reference already. And that's what it'll be used to create its overview. I know there's a few different acronyms floating around. There's SGE, Search Generative Experience, which is generated search. They generate the result instead of just giving you the results to choose from like Google. There's GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, which is optimizing for AI search engines, which honestly, when you go through it, it's exactly the same as SEO optimization. And then there's the Google specific algorithm, which is AIO, AI Overview. And that's just SGE. Google's got to be cool, have its own name for something. So that's just SGE for Google. It's a search generative experience. Google wants to call it AIO. Fine. It's kind of like the early days of SEO where they were calling it all kinds of different things and then finally landed on SEO. It's AI search finding its own way. But if you have a properly optimized website where you have, structured data markup, snippets, whatever you want to call it, schema markup on your website to identify, this is a bio page for a person, this is a service page, this is a location page, this is an article and a topic, this is a place, location page, that will help the AI as well. You have optimized metadata, URLs, content, that will help the AI as well. But the best thing you can possibly do, where SEO looks more and more like real marketing, is create content that people want to read that's actually helpful to them. And then they will find it. And then you'll get the traffic and engagement from your audience as relative to your competitors. And AI will find you as well. Then there's a good example of people will still be using traditional search because AI is very different in its results for objective and subjective searches. So objective searches, if I'm like, how old is Taylor Swift? It just gives me her age, bang. There's no arguing, that's her age. But if I say, what's the best dog? Well, it's going to scrape the web and see there's 1,000 articles out there about huskies being the best dog. That's the best dog. But I think beagles are actually the best dogs. But there's just not as much articles being positive about beagles being the best dog out there. So that's more of a subjective answer. That's where I want to go back to a traditional search engine, and I want to find the article that helps me learn about why beagles are the best dog. Or it's even something like you can always find something to support your answer. If I ask AI, why is the earth flat? It's going to tell me the earth isn't flat. But if I go to Google search, believe me, through those results, I will find a group out there that supports I don't think the earth is flat, by the way. But
That's my next question.
yeah, right. But you can find anything through traditional search. And sometimes another example is it's like having a personal shopper. You stand at the front of an Asda or Lidl or Walmart, wherever you're from, and someone goes and they bring you things and you're like, is this what you want? But sometimes you just want to shop on your own. And that's traditional search engines versus search generative experiences.
Yeah. Will I be penalized if I use to write my copy?
Well, if you just have the AI do all the work, likely yes, but not necessarily because, two schools of thought. It will be able to detect that it's AI generated. But if it's gaining traffic and engagement, then it might be okay. But again, it's not an intelligent software. It's an LLM. So it's just pulling in data and putting words on a page. And so if you're not editing it, you're likely going to get some very verbose, unhelpful content that isn't specific to what your client does and what makes them special and why you'd want to go with them. So it's going to be very flat. And actually, one of our writers wrote a great article on the iNet website about how to use AI to help you with content writing. So we just recently went to SMX, the Search Marketing Expo, and they said the same thing. Don't have AI do 90% of the writing. Have it do 20%. Have it get you past that blank page syndrome and get you started. And this does go back to the challenges of SEO because clients will ask, is AI searches killing SEO? Are your writers just using AI to generate content when I could just button push it on my own? So one, we hit it with copy leaks to make sure it's not just all AI generated. Two, our writer wrote a great article about using it as your writing assistant. It can do research very quickly. So if you're like, I'm writing about XYZ, can you find me some stats, facts, or trends about this subject and give me the sources to them so I can go to those sources? And it'll give you those very quickly. Or you can say, create me an outline for this article. And often, it'll give you an outline that you're about half okay with. You want to adjust it a little bit, but you can't have it do the writing for you because, like you said, it won't have all the niche information about your client. Unless you give it to it, you could also say, create me an outline, and this is who we are, and this is what makes us special, and how long we've been in business, and what we do that our competitors don't. Your prompt is very important, but it's also very important that you are still the writer, and it is your writing assistant. I mean, a good example is even this podcast. If I have some notes here in front of me that I wrote myself, but if I had AI just generate them, I would be spitting out the most generic stuff that you've heard before a million times. Keywords are the such and such and optimization, like this is where they need to be. And SEO helps you rank organically at the top of the search engine results. Like it won't be anything new that you've heard before. I want to actually speak on my experiences. Like you said, add the Andre into it, add the Derek into it, really talk about what I experienced and felt and learned. And I mean, we keep calling it AI, but large language models just they can't do that. They're getting better and they're extremely helpful.
So Derek, I think we're reaching the end of the episode. Thank you very much for joining us and giving the masterclass about SEO. So if you want to know more about Derek, you can find him on LinkedIn. I'll have his profile in the description. And if you want to know more about SEO and discover a bit more about iNet, their website is going to be also on the description, but it's inet-media.ca, and they do a fantastic job. So go check them out.
Thank you very much. It was great talking with you both.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you so much.
Hi, it's me, Prachi. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to check Derek's website and his LinkedIn in the description below. Also, make sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you are watching or listening to this. And please share this episode and leave a comment. See you again in 2 weeks. Bye.